Hey, welcome. So let's just jump right in with a kind of a wild idea. What if I told you that what we call laziness isn't actually a weakness at all? What if it's a secret superpower? We're going to dig into the psychology that shows how some of the smartest minds are actually wired to avoid work and how that's a path to genius, not failure.
So I'll ask you directly. Think about those times you looked for the easy way out, the shortcut. Was that really a character flaw? Or was your brain just doing what it's supposed to do, instinctively searching for a more efficient path? Maybe it's a sign of some seriously high level thinking.
And this right here is the whole game. On one side, you've got busy work. It's reactive, it's rushed, it's all about putting in more hours. You know the vibe, it's like playing whack-a-mole with your email inbox all day. But on the other side, you've got smart work. This is deliberate. It's about building systems. It's focused on impact, not hours. That's like deciding you're only going to check email twice a day. And that's it. It's a total shift in mindset. Okay, so to really get on board with this whole smart work thing, we first have to get over a pretty big hurdle in our culture. So in this first part, we're going to completely dismantle this myth of laziness. We're going to reframe it. It's not a flaw, it's a strategy. I mean, you can't argue with this quote, right? It's legendary for a reason. Bill Gates got it. He knew that real innovation, the big breakthroughs, they don't come from just throwing more effort at a problem. They come from that deep-seated desire to find a shortcut, to invent a simpler, way more elegant solution. It's about being efficient, not just being busy. And here's the trap we all fall into. Our culture worships the hustle. We've been taught to equate visible activity, looking stressed, running around, sweating, with being productive and valuable. But what if that's just completely backwards? What if the most productive people are the ones who actually look the calmest? In fact, what's wild is that this cultural obsession with being busy is actually fighting our own biology. And that brings us to our next section, where we're going to look at the science. We're going to see why your brain is naturally built to be this incredibly powerful efficiency engine. Okay, so the key idea here has a fancy name, cognitive offloading. But the concept is actually super simple. It's not about being lazy or forgetful. It's your brain making a strategic move to outsource the small stuff. Using a to-do list, setting a reminder, creating a template for an email. You do that so you can free up precious mental horsepower for the really big, important problems. And this goes way, way back. Think about it from a pure survival standpoint. Evolution doesn't reward the animal that runs around the most and burns the most calories. Nope. It rewards the one that gets the food with the absolute least amount of energy spent. So your brain's desire to save energy, that isn't some modern flaw. It's an ancient winning strategy. So how do you actually use this? It's a pretty simple three-step process. First, you just have to spot something you do over and over again. Second, instead of just doing it, build a little system for it, a process, a checklist. And third, the master move, find a way to automate that system so you barely have to think about it ever again. That's cognitive offloading in action. Think about one of those crazy, complicated Rube Goldberg machines, where a ball rolls down a track, hits some dominoes, which releases a spring, all just to flip a light switch. It looks impressive, maybe, but man, that is the definition of hard, inefficient work. And then there's just flipping the switch. That's smart work. The goal is exactly the same, but the path is so much simpler. The genius isn't in how complicated the journey is. It's in the beautiful simplicity of the solution. Okay, so we've established the theory. Being lazy can be a sign of some serious intelligence. But how do you actually do it? Let's get practical. It's time to open up what I like to call the Strategic Procrastinator's Toolkit and look at the real strategies you can start using. First up, the famous Pareto principle. You've probably heard of it as the 80-20 rule. And this chart shows it perfectly. And pretty much anything you do, a tiny fraction of your effort, that crucial 20%, is creating the huge majority of your results. Just think about your closet. You probably wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time, right? Well, the same thing applies to your work. The rest is just noise. So this is the absolute key. Smart laziness isn't about doing nothing at all. It's about having the guts and the clarity to identify that vital 20% of your work and then ruthlessly focusing all your energy there while you consciously give yourself permission to ignore the other 80%. All right, tool number 2 is a bit controversial, strategic procrastination. Now listen, this is not about blowing deadlines. It's a deliberate choice to use the pressure of that deadline to your advantage. It gets rid of all the time for second guessing and overthinking, and it forces you into that state of hyperfocus, that flow state, where you can just execute brilliantly and efficiently. Now for the last, and honestly, maybe the most powerful tool in the whole kit. We're going to explore an idea that seems like the complete opposite of work. It's the incredible productive power of doing nothing. Let's look at how rest is actually a critical form of work. What's so amazing about this is that when you step away from a problem, your brain keeps chipping away at it. That sudden urge to take a nap or go for a walk, that's not always just your body being tired. It's often your brain demanding some downtime to process all the information and connect ideas in the background. It's why your best ideas always pop into your head in the shower, right? And this slide just lays out the difference perfectly. People who are just busy are always trying to multitask. They're always rushing, and they wear that busyness like a badge of honor. But true high performers, they do the exact opposite. They focus on one thing at a time. They move at a steady, deliberate pace, and they schedule rest just as seriously as they schedule meetings. Okay, so how do we put all of this together into something real? Let's consolidate all these ideas into a super simple, actionable plan you can use to kind of lazy-proof your life starting today. Here we go, just 3 simple steps for this week. First, find one small, annoying, repetitive task and build a system for it or automate it. Second, really ask yourself, what is the 20% of my work that creates 80% of the value? And third, deliberately schedule a break. I mean it, put it in your calendar. A walk, a nap, just some quiet time after your next big mental task. And let's end with this final thought, a little bit of a challenge for you. To truly focus on what's important, you have to consciously choose what to ignore. So my question for you is this. What is one important task that you're going to give yourself permission to strategically ignore this week so you can free up all that energy for what truly counts?